Good evening and welcome to episode 28 of Mathghamhain Morsels. This is again going to be in a Sanguine Start series. So tonight I'm going to show you how to make a real simple pork loin roast with an absolutely delicious gravy. I've made this gravy a bunch of different ways. Tonight it's going to be a white wine, mushroom, and onion gravy. It's absolutely delicious. So, I already have a bit of pork roast sliced up. I have 2/3 of a cup of white wine. I'm using a very nice Riesling that I like. And 2/3 of a cup chicken stock already together in that. I have 6 juniper berries. And then about a little bit more than 2 sprigs of thyme leaves in here. This is going to be very simple. The roast already salted up with some red alile, sea salt. I'll be searing this off in my cast iron. Once it's seared off on all its sides, I'll pull it out, put in some onion and mushrooms. Let those get some nice coloration. Throw the pork back in with the mushrooms and onion. Add in my juniper berries and thyme. And pour in the stock. I'll let that bubble away for a while, let the flavors marry together, the pork cook through. I'll be turning the pork every so often, just to make sure that it gets cooked all the way through and it's cooked consistently. Then I'll be pulling out the pork, adding in a bit of a thickening agent, which will just be some butter and flour mixed together. Mixing that until I get a nice looking sauce, add in some heavy cream, and it'll end up this beautifully silky sauce that I'll just be pouring over top of some rice and the pork. I'm going to do what I did in another video and do the actual cooking part in fast forward, but I'll add in some voice over so that you can hear what each step is going to be while I'm actually cooking. And with that, let's head to the kitchen. Okay, so this starts off really simple. It's 1-to-1 cooking fat to butter. I use lard, and then I just throw in the pork. I want to get it seared off on all the sides, make sure that it gets some of those beautiful Maillard reactions, but it doesn't need to get too browned off. Once the meat is done, or not done all the way through, but done getting those colors and flavoring up the oil, it will get moved out of the cast iron and be thrown into just a plate to sit for a few moments as the rest is prepared, because in will go the onions and mushrooms, which I quickly saute up. You want to get some caramelization on the onions, let the mushrooms get some color on them as well. Once those are done, in go 6 juniper berries, and then I'll also be adding 2/3 of a cup of stock and 2/3 of a cup of wine and letting it cook on the hob for a bit. Okay, so here we are after it's simmered away on the hob. So it's reduced down rather beautifully. I'm going to add a splash more of chicken broth just to make sure that I have enough there. And I've already taken the pork out. It's resting on the side. It looks absolutely beautiful. So just stir this up. Make sure that the little bit of chicken broth that you just added gets incorporated with everything. And then into this, I'm going to throw a 1-to-1 combination of butter and flour, just all-purpose flour. And I'll be adding that in little bits, stirring it around, make sure that it gets completely incorporated before you allow it to just cook for a moment. That's going to be the thickening agent for this. It takes a couple moments to mix it up though, so it won't be right away that you'll see me add it in, but once I do, that's going to end up thickening it up beautifully. And you just want to keep stirring until it is entirely incorporated. After it gets entirely incorporated, and it becomes a nice thick sauce, that's when I'm going to start adding the cream. And here goes the little flour and butter combination. So like I said, I'll stir that around, make sure that it gets mixed in all the way. And this, it really depends on atmospheric conditions, how much it takes. Mine, it didn't take very much. Sometimes it takes more, but you just add enough that it thickens nicely. So I'm adding in the cream, and to this sauce, you're going to be adding a 2/3 cup of heavy cream. And we'll just make this absolutely beautiful, creamy sauce that really holds on to those flavors. Okay, and here we are back at my desk. After the gravy was finished and the pork came out, looking beautiful. Here it is plated up. I just threw it over top of some rice. This works on top of anything. You can do on top of mashed potatoes, you can do on top of pasta, on top of rice, any good starch. This works amazingly with. That gravy is absolutely amazing. I didn't pick out the juniper berries before plating up. So, if you can see them when they're in the sauce before you plate up, pull the juniper berries out. If not, just pull them out as you find them. But this gravy is absolutely amazing. The sweetness from the caramelized onion and that semi-sweet Riesling that I used, with the creaminess of the butter that went into it, as well as the heavy cream. The deep, earthy umami from the mushrooms and from the meat, the drippings of the pork, and just the meat in general. This is absolutely delicious. And it's a one pot and a plate dish. I say a plate because I had to pull the meat out, let it sit on a plate for a few moments while I did the rest of the gravy before throwing the meat back in to finish cooking. But this is absolutely delicious. So I'll leave you guys off with my normal challenge of try something new. If you haven't had this before, try this. You can do it with white wine, you can do it with a semi-dry cider or a nice, really dry cider. It goes fantastic with this, the pork and the apple flavors from the cider. Oh god, it's good. You can do it with wine, you can top chicken up the same way as you did, or as I did with this pork. Goes amazing on turkey as well. I made that for a Thanksgiving with friends, just the gravy. Without the pork in it. That's absolutely delicious. Just get out there and experiment. Try new things. Let me know what the new thing that you are trying is on this video or next video that I put out. But with that, I'm going to scarf the rest of this down. So have a good night all.